Ukraine has just fired a political missile at Belarus, sanctions directly on Alexander Lukashenko, not on ministries, not on generals, on the man who controls Belarus's army, airspace, factories and borders. Now the question, gripping Europe's war planners, did Kyiv just open a second war front on itself? Because within hours, Minsk moved its troops, not to a parade ground, to combat readiness checks, surprise drills, and simulated battlefield conditions. This is not diplomacy. This is escalation. Kyiv says Lukashenko is no longer a bystander. Ukraine accuses Belarus of becoming an operational launch platform for Russia's war.
Today, Ukraine has applied a package of sanctions against Alexander Lukashenko, and we are significantly intensifying our opposition to all forms of his involvement in the murders of Ukrainians. We will work with our partners to ensure this has a global impact. In the second half of 2025, the Russians deployed a system of relay stations in Belarus to control attack drones, which increased the Russian army's ability to launch strikes on our northern regions, from Kyiv region to Volyn. Some of the attacks, particularly on energy facilities and railways in our regions, the Russians would not have been able to carry out without such assistance from Belarus.
Ukraine says Belarus is now part of Russia's missile production and deployment chain. Not just a transit corridor, a manufacturing base and launch support zone.
More than 3,000 Belarusian enterprises have been put at the service of the Russian war and are supplying equipment and components that are classified as critically important. These include components for the production of missiles that are terrorizing our cities and villages. The construction of infrastructure for the deployment of medium-range missiles, the Oreshnik, in Belarus is ongoing, which is an obvious threat not only to Ukrainians, but to all Europeans. Alexander Lukashenko has not only provided Belarus territory for the Oreshnik. Last year, the country's enterprises supplied Russia with critical components and a mechanical base for this weapon. This continues in 2026.
Ukraine's foreign minister now pushes this beyond Kyiv's war map and into Europe's security framework. This is no longer framed as Ukraine's war alone. This is being framed as Europe's front line expanding eastward.
Today's sanctions against Alexander Lukashenko and his regime are an appropriate, necessary, and adequate response to the hybrid and security threats they pose to Ukraine and the rest of Europe. The regime in Minsk is an accomplice in the crime of Russia's aggression against Ukraine. It provided its territory for the attack and continues to assist Moscow in its genocidal war against Ukraine, with resources, components, materials, sanctions evasion, and even a system of relay stations for controlling attack drones. We urge our partners to follow our example and ensure that Lukashenko faces adequate pressure for his crimes, along with Putin, for his oppression of the Belarusian people and for stealing the opportunities and future of generations of Belarusians. Belarus belongs to Europe, not to the Russian world.
Minsk does not deny the charges. Instead, Lukashenko orders the military to prepare. Sudden combat readiness checks across multiple formations, special operations forces activated, interior troops used as simulated enemy, live fire drills, rapid ammunition deployment, combat marches under real weather conditions. Belarusian officials openly say the drills are modeled on Russia's war experience in Ukraine. This is Minsk, signaling readiness for escalation, not reassurance, not de-escalation. Ukraine's strike on Lukashenko was political. Belarus's response is military. By naming Lukashenko as a co-enabler of missile attacks and drone warfare, Kyiv has dragged Belarus out of the shadows of Russia's war machine and into the spotlight. That changes Belarus's status from silent accomplice to exposed war node. If Belarus now moves from support to active engagement, Ukraine faces pressure on its northern flank again, and NATO faces a hardened military corridor between Russia and Europe.